on this worldwide original transmission of the InfoWar. Again, I'm your host, Alex Jones. The news websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Now, the broadcast you're going to hear today is almost like a news magazine. We're going to cover the waterfront of issues in the second hour with a bunch of reporters coming in, special reports, the lawlessness of the globalist, how to beat them, so many different topics. Man on the Street interview now. Coming up in the first hour, we're going to have in studio David Knight and, of course, Staff Sergeant Biggs. And then we are going to break down some other issues as well that are extremely important. In fact, first when we come back, I want to hit on why the globalists want to go after rural populations and shut those down, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. So again, thank you for joining us on this Sunday edition. But first off, this aired last week on the Nightly News, and it was very informative, so I wanted to play the Sha'Carri Jackson special report. It's just 2 minutes long. Justice Department targets patriots but ignores police brutality, or it's just about 3 minutes long. So a lot coming up here on this Sunday transmission. And remember, if you're listening or watching this transmission, you are the resistance.
There is often talk that only military and police should have guns, that if there is an incident, a man in uniform will swoop in and save you. And there are plenty of good people in those positions. But we can't ignore the blatant abuses of power that do occur, such as an off-duty NYPD member who got drunk and shot a man 6 times. To anyone who'd point out that the man was off the clock at the time of the shooting, I'd be quick to point out that he shot a man 6 times. On the other side of the country, a man fleeing from police was shot in the back, fell down a staircase, and died. Reports are that the man had previously been menacing with a pair of scissors, but was unarmed when he was killed from behind. Moving now to Texas, a sheriff responding to a burglary killed the dog of the victim who called him. Apparently, pepper spray wasn't a good enough option to keep the dog at bay. And earlier this year, Albuquerque police killed a homeless man for the heinous crime of camping.
Good. Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Don't make noise! Put your hands out to your side and drop the knife! Hands out to your side! Beanbag! Beanbag! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Still got the knife? Negative.
Let's contrast that with responsible citizens handling firearms.
While they're reversing, the lady's holding onto her purse still, chasing him all the way to the middle.
That's when a perfect stranger intervenes. You can see him there in the PT Cruiser at the top of the screen.
And that Good Samaritan came out and drew his weapon and scared them. And then that's when he pulled him out the car.
Someone snapped this picture of the man holding the 2 suspects at bay. A few minutes later, police arrived.
She heard the suspect say this.
He said that crazy has a gun, and that's when I was finally down on the sidewalk and I shot it into the dirt, into the grass area, and to let him know, you know, I've got a gun and I know how to use it.
With all of this in mind, the Department of Justice is continuing their attack on the Second Amendment by limiting banking options for gun stores. This in addition to the DOJ running guns into the hands of Mexican drug cartels with Operation Fast and Furious. So to the Good Samaritans and constitutional police alike, be aware that if the DOJ continues these actions virtually unchecked, you may find your right to bear arms infringed in a way that you wouldn't expect. You can find more reports at Infowars.com.
All right, great job, Sha'Carri Jackson. We'll be right back after this 1-minute break and get into the main transmission. This is a special show lined up for you this Sunday. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there's a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, InfoWars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere. And that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level.
What's his name?
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately disperse.
It's a military mission in North St. Louis. Heavily armored vehicles are rolling into town.
And don't be alarmed if you see those over the next 7 days rolling through your neighborhood.
If you see military helicopters flying low over Minneapolis, do not be alarmed.
Guns will be taken. No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in.
Just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Enough. 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 Enough.
The Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree.
It comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
And as KSLA News 12 Jeff Farrell discovered, the clergy would help the government with potentially their biggest problem, us.
So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
If you got a business, that you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics.
Black Hawk choppers soaring through the night sky, but this is only a drill.
Heavily armed officers in Watertown search for the suspect, house to house.
It's a joint military training exercise involving local police, also military. In your apartment!
I am in my apartment, sir.
Go back inside right now!
I am inside. I have 2 words for you. Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
The dramatic scene played out in front of our cameras. Parents grabbing their children and running after spending the night hunkering in their houses and then finding themselves face to face with the muzzle of a SWAT officer's rifle.
They let them in the area. They told them they could come in, and now they're coming in like they're trespassers, punching and shoving people.
We're not turning our guns in, and we're not running, and we're not backing down. If you want them, come and take them.
We are on the march. The Empire is on the run. Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
This is the heart of 1776.
And that intro that you just heard or watched, if you're watching the news at Infowars.com/show, we simulcast TV here, not just radio, illustrates in 3 minutes, 16 seconds the police state that's not just building up here in the United States, but worldwide. And ladies and gentlemen, governments across the planet and the special interests that control them are becoming more and more lawless. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday worldwide transmission. It is the 18th day, ladies and gentlemen. Again, that is the 18th day of May, 2014. I am your host, Alex Jones. And we see here in the United States the classical conversion of our police into paramilitaries. We see the use of the military domestically. We see the Inde Posse Comitatus. And that's being done so that the offshore corporate interests that are anti-free market can take over and fully conquer this nation. Now, last week we had a bunch of different news articles up at Infowars.com, and we're going to have Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, who's an Infowars reporter, and investigative journalist David Knight in studio with us coming up in the next 3 segments. Then we've got a bunch of news from legalizing violent felony legal aliens under Obama to the situation that's unfolding with the shutdown of beef production in this country under Agenda 21. It is a jam-packed broadcast coming up today. But we see classical authoritarianism. We've seen professors fired in the U.S. in the news last week because they were exposing that global warming wasn't real and wasn't man-made and is a power grab. We see reports banned in England. The Times of London reported scientists in cover-up of damaging climate view that the fact that the Earth's getting colder and that we need carbon dioxide for plants to live. They're being shut down. We see Dinesh D'Souza having people that were going to be interviewed by him canceling because of federal threats, and he's been arrested because he made a film against Obama. Obama 2016. I mean, this is Creepville. And if you get scared of it and have the chilling effect with the IRS going after anybody right of Lucifer, anybody right of Mao Zedong, they're going to win. They're going to take over. Are we really scared of these people? They're totally illegitimate. They've seized control of the military. They've seized control of most states and the police. But most military and police are awake now and don't want to be part of this. We've got to grow some guts and say no. We've got to get involved and understand what's happening will destroy our future. Now, here are some of the articles from the week. Leaked documents reveal Marine Corps Urban Training Center based on U.S. town for domestic war against the American people. Infowars.com. A Marine source gave us these secret documents. But it's not secret in Forbes and Stars and Stripes and everywhere that, oh, the main enemy of the military in NORTHCOM, the Northern Command, is the Tea Party, returning veterans and gun owners. That's all over the news. We broke that 6 years ago. Now it's passé. It's redundant. We need to have a debate about this and ask, why is this happening? It's totally illegal. It's totally creepy. And it's being done because the system plans to end our free society. Now, I sent my reporters, David Knight and Joe Biggs, up to Fort A.P. Hill in Virginia, outside Bowling Green, Virginia. And they were there on Wednesday and Thursday. They got back Friday. They're going to be in studio with us coming up. And they went on the base. Big showed him his military ID, said, I'm retired military, blah, blah, blah. They let him on. Inside the giant base is a 300-acre facility where they train with mock groups of Baptist churches, public schools, you name it. And it's clearly for war domestically against the American people to acclimate the troops. But more importantly, the military, Army, Marine Corps, FBI, you name it, training for insurgency in America with the Tea Party as the enemy. And just like our military trained before Vietnam in jungle warfare, just like it trained for a decade before for desert warfare before 1991, they're training and admitting the new enemy is a civil war ignited by special interests that want to fully conquer this country. I don't want this to happen. Obviously, that's an understatement. This is so horrible and it's so real. We had this article on Friday as well by Paul Joseph Watson up on Infowars.com. Police now armed for war against returning veterans. There's a video of this in an interview for Fox 59. I should have played this last Friday. In fact, I should have played, maybe we'll play it later in the show. It's up on Infowars.com. In an interview with Fox 59, a Morgan County, Indiana police sergeant admits that the increasing militarization of domestic police departments is partly to deal with returning veterans who are now seen as a hometown terror threat. Again, they're mainlining it. This used to be secret. When I first broke this 6 years ago with the MIAC report, people didn't believe it. Ron Paul called me and said, Alex, I know you're credible, but is that really real? And I said, call the phone number. Ron Paul's office called me. And it turned out it was real. Of course it was real. This is now on Fox TV saying, well, we got armored vehicles and are training for war because we're about to have a war with the veterans. This is insane. In a chilling story entitled Armed for War, Pentagon Surplus Gives Local Police an Edge, we learn how a mine-resident vehicle, MRAP, which was once used during the occupation of Afghanistan, will be patrolling the streets of central Indiana, according to the report, waiting for the war with veterans. Folks, in the sitcoms, the dramas, the kids' cartoons, the movies, the veterans, the patriots, the libertarians are going to blow up the government and start a war. It hasn't happened yet. But the globalists are going to stage the terror attacks to say, see, they did it, go arrest them, and then a civil war will start because folks aren't going to the FEMA camp. This is so real. If you love your family, admit over the years I've been right. Admit this stuff's real. Let's force a public debate about this. Let's say no, and let's stop it. But this video is so incredible. It's up on Infowars.com. In fact, it's Sunday. I'm going to have it reposted to the front page.